with the course nearing its end, I thought it actually is fitting to provide my input on basically what I've taken away from this summer online psychology course and what I got out of this course, what I enjoyed from this course. And there was an abundance of information I learned, and the great majority of it was, actually I had a great time learning it. One chapter, chapter 4, was a little bit of a tough one getting through, but it still nonetheless was very interesting. I learned a great deal about the brain and whatnot from chapter 4. But every other chapter as well was just pretty interesting. Just very astounding stuff I learned. And so now that the course is nearing its end, and for this video reflection, I have to reflect on my opinions of the course and what I got away from it. I thought I might as well begin with the first question. How have your critical thinking skills changed? Give a specific example of a situation where you've practiced more skeptical, and critical evaluation of some information. Well, before I start, I gotta say that a lot of the information I actually gained on this question came from the syllabus, which you recommended us to watch the Stanford University videos from Stephen Chu on basically improving studying skills. And that helped me kind of learn not to, when I was reading the text specifically, not to isolate facts or terms, and rather give them kind of like applicable meaning, or kind of associate them with an image so I could understand them more so than I had I just like isolated the fact and memorized the term, which is all very short term. You can memorize the fact, but it will disappear longer. If you associate something with an image or an idea, it sticks a lot longer, and the idea is just more, uh, impermeable to change. But so like I'll take for example, say like for example I was learning the term encoding and I just memorized the term as it was. Well, now that would probably only help me in a short term manner in which like I could memorize it for a quiz. But later on, say for the final, which is coming up, I would be completely confounded at what um, encoding is. But say if I associated encoding with seeing a really distinctive clock for the first time, like a big clock, and associated my encoding of that and remembrance of that with encoding, my kind of understanding of the big distinctive clock, I could immediately next time on a final, which is far removed from when I learned the term, associate, oh, encoding is like that time I remembered a big clock which was very distinctive. So lot of tips I learned from the Stephen Chu uh, from Stanford University on critical skills, and also just from reading the text itself over and over again. You kind of get in a habit of understanding what to pay attention to and what to be skeptical about. And this skeptical about is especially in regards to the chapter we just went over, chapter 6 on the sleep and dream subsection, where the one we wrote a paper on. Um, Especially because a lot of that information in that chapter on sleeping and dreaming was actually quite dubious and rather uninformative. It was very lacking in terms of depth and information provided. So I kind of learned specifically with that chapter on that assignment, where we're supposed to compare credible sources to that particular source. I learned that you have to keep an eye out for information, understand whether something is being correctly presentable in the information provided, and so I just learned to have a lot more of a close paying attention, like a closer eye when paying attention to information, rather than just accept it as being valid or credible. And so that's what I learned for question number 1. But in question number 2, what topics did you find most and least interesting in the course, and why? I'd say probably in no particular order. Chapter 2, Chapter 3, and Chapter 5 were most interesting to me. I mean, Chapter 2 on memory was pretty astounding to learn how we kind of process the world around us in terms of understanding how we react to stimuli and whatnot, how we have kind of memory is almost the basis of our life in a sense. It kind of forms the knowledge we have. And so that was particularly interesting. And then kind of overlapping with that was Chapter 3 on behavior, classical and operant conditioning, which was really interesting in terms of learning why people do what they do, like why people act how they act, and it just kind of gave me an idea of like my own patterns I carry in my daily life, why I do them without even conscious thought occasionally. And chapter 5 on sensation and perception, that's just probably one of the coolest one. I'd probably argue that's the coolest one we did because it just gives you an idea into the way we process the world. It was a difficult chapter, I must say, but it was very interesting. I reaped the benefits of it because the brain is just a complex organism, and it really kind of outlined the way it functions. So it was an interesting one, and least interesting. I want to say least interesting, but least fun I had studying was chapter 4 on basically neurons and neurotransmitters. It was interesting, but the most difficult to keep track with in regards to understanding the information and processing it. There was an abundance of information in that chapter. I almost say there's too much of an overload, so I had to reread the chapters a couple times and be a lot more diligent in my studying on that one. But honestly, all chapters were interesting. There were just some that stood out amongst the rest, and some that were a sore thumb amongst the rest. And what challenges came up in taking this fully online course? How did you manage those challenges? Well, I'd say the principal challenge, which is evident to everyone, is that you're removed from a teacher or classmate. So basically, it's almost like a sole survivor instinct in terms of this class. I had to be kind of reliant on myself in many ways. Fortunately, we could still discuss with you about a great majority of the topics, and you were very amenable in that regard of being open to us and reaching out to us. But it still, I guess, was difficult because we don't have that physical presence. I mean, I technically still haven't even physically met you, which is kind of bizarre. But no, I'd definitely say that was the most difficult challenge of the course. I guess other challenges were the fact that it was all online. Most courses, I know we are going to this technological age where we're leaning towards implementing only online sources for classes, but still, nonetheless, you're raised on this method of notebooks and whatnot. And I did use a notebook at the beginning of the course for a little bit, but it's just I guess it's a little bit of that transition into um, the technological era of understanding and utilizing resources. So that were some of the challenges of the course. And what did you think about having to make all of these videos? Do you feel like it achieved my goal of helping you improve your oral presentation skills? Why or why not? Well, let me tell you this. First off, in the first video, I had probably spent like 3 hours trying to complete that video introduction. I just was having the toughest time. It's just kind of hard, like looking at yourself in the camera and just going off talking and staying on track specifically. It really kind of it's just a difficult task. You kind of get jumbled with words and whatnot, and you just I don't know. You feel much more on the spot being alone. It feels like you're almost talking to yourself, and literally talking to yourself. Actually, you're looking at a screen of yourself and you're talking to it. But so that was quite difficult. But as the course progressed and we kept doing assignments more and more removed from ourselves, it kind of helped me liken the idea of like, oh, okay, I'm instructing somebody on this. So it helped in that regard of like learning to kind of be less self-conscious when I'm doing a video presentation. So now I feel a lot more confident about say presenting a skill or even just talking about myself like I am doing now. For example, I'm feeling a lot more confident, and so as to where in the first video I spent about multiple attempts trying to get past the first minute of the video. This is just my first go on this, and I'm speaking pretty coherently. At least I hope I'm speaking pretty coherently about my experience in the course. So that's what I got from the video presentations, and I think hopefully I'm a better oral presentation according to you. That's what I hope you deduce from this. So now that you're done with the course, what will you be doing with the rest of your summer? Well, I'm not technically done with the course yet. I have to take the final. I have to take that beast. But after that, once I am done with the course, I plan to. I have to still work at my job at Jasper, so for a little bit do that, which is only 3 days a week, which is nice. But then I actually have another summer course coming up on I think it's Religions of the Bible, and so that one's gonna be really interesting. I haven't taken a religious course yet at Santa Clara, so I'm excited about that. But other than that, I'm just excited because my brother is taking a medical exam right now, which he's been studying for 2 months. He's been like crammed in his room, And basically, right when he takes the exam and is done with all his hard work and studies, I finish the course. So I know I get to hang out with him a lot more. I've been kind of doing my own thing this entire summer, but I'm just really excited. So that's what I'll probably be doing. I'll be hanging out a lot more with my brothers, taking that summer course online for religion, working on my job, and probably just hanging out, reading a good book and here and there. So that's what I have planned for my summer. But yeah, other than that, I really did enjoy the course. I had a great time, and it's actually helped me. I'm strongly considering now majoring in psychology, possibly. It's just really interesting the stuff we learned. I mean, particularly the brain, though it was difficult, like I said earlier, in regards to chapter 4. It's just an astounding thing. It's the most complex structure almost in the entirety of it all. Entirety of existence, in my opinion. But it's the structure of experience. But yeah, no, I just want to again thank you, Mr. Bell, for all you've done for this course. I've gained a lot from it, and I had a great time. All right, thank you so much.